Well, all right, welcome back. The crypto market feels like a giant puzzle right now, doesn't it? Well, today we're going to put on our detective hats. We've got four key charts that are basically our main clues to figure out what's really going on under the surface. So let's dive right in. So, this is the big one, right? The question on everyone's mind. Are we going up, down, or are we just stuck going sideways? Honestly, there are so many conflicting signals out there, it's enough to make your head spin. That's why we've got to dig into the evidence, look at the clues, and see if we can piece together a clearer picture. Okay, let's get to our first clue. We're calling this one the mid-range stalemate. This piece of evidence comes from Binance futures data, and it pretty much shows a market that's, well, it's stuck in a standoff. There's this old trading saying that is just perfect for what's happening right now. It goes, don't diddle in the middle. It's kind of funny, but it's super smart. It just means that when the price isn't near a clear floor, what traders call support, or a ceiling, what they call resistance, there's just no obvious edge, not for buyers, not for sellers. And guess what? That is exactly where Bitcoin is parked at the moment. So let's look at the actual numbers here. We've got this really solid floor of support. Think of it as a safety net, somewhere between about $98,000 and $102,000. Then, way up above us, we've got this ceiling of resistance between, say, 112 and 116,000. So, where are we right now? You guessed it, smack dab in the middle. And that's the whole point. There's just no clear, easy move to make in the short term. All right, let's move on to our second clue. This one is really interesting because it involves a huge player and a move that has the whole market buzzing. It's kind of like a little crypto whodunit. So, look at this number. Almost 2,500 Bitcoin. That's what SpaceX moved recently. Now, in a market that's as jumpy as this one, a transfer of that size, yeah, it's going to get noticed. The big question, of course, is what does it actually mean? Okay, so here's where the mystery really deepens. See, 3 years ago, when SpaceX was getting ready to sell, what did they do? They moved their Bitcoin straight to an exchange, like Coinbase. Pretty clear signal, right? But this time, the coins went to a brand new, totally unknown address. So can we just assume they're selling? Absolutely not. For now, this clue is an open case file. We just have to watch and wait. Now for our third clue. For this one, we're going to go on-chain, which is like looking under the hood of the blockchain to really get a feel for investor psychology. This particular metric gives us a really powerful insight into how recent buyers are feeling. So first, let's quickly define a key term you're going to hear, the STH Realized Price. STH just stands for short-term holder. All this really is the average price that all the recent buyers paid for their Bitcoin. Just think of it as their break-even point. It's a huge psychological line in the sand for the market. And here's why that line in the sand is so important. Right now, the actual price of Bitcoin is below it. They're literally underwater on their investment. And as long as the price stays down here, the general feeling, the trend, stays bearish. Why? Well, because those underwater holders might get nervous and decide to sell to cut their losses. Okay, for our fourth and final clue, we need to zoom out and look at the bigger picture. Crypto doesn't exist in its own little bubble. What happens in traditional markets, like gold, can give us some major hints about how investors are feeling about risk in general. And right now, gold seems to be flashing a warning sign. Check this out, 33%. That's how far gold is currently trading above its 200-day moving average. And all that average is just its typical long-term price. For gold to be stretched this far above its average, well, that's a really, really big deal. I mean, this chart really says it all. You can see just how far the current price has stretched away from its long-term average. Traders call this overheated. A gap this wide between the two is pretty rare. And historically, it often means a correction, a price drop is on the horizon. And if people get nervous about gold, that could easily spill over and put pressure on other riskier assets, like crypto. All right, we've looked at all four clues. We've gathered the evidence. Now it's time to put all the pieces of this puzzle together and deliver the final verdict on what the market is telling us. So let's just run through them one more time. Clue number 1, Bitcoin is stuck in the middle of its range, no clear edge either way. Clue number 2, that big SpaceX move is something to keep an eye on, but it's definitely not a confirmed sell-off. Clue number 3, a lot of recent buyers are underwater, which keeps the on-chain sentiment leaning bearish. And finally, clue number 4, gold looks way overheated, which could be a warning sign of broader market pressure coming our way. So when you put all of that together, what's the big takeaway? The message seems pretty clear, doesn't it? The market is screaming uncertainty and signaling some real potential downside risk. All the evidence points to this being a time for patience, a time to observe, not to overtrade and make big aggressive moves. The next major clue we'll be watching for is a decisive break, either above that resistance ceiling or below that support floor. And that really leaves us with one final thought. In a market like this, one that's full of so many conflicting signals, pulling us in a dozen different directions, maybe the winning strategy isn't about making the perfect trade. Maybe, just maybe, the real superpower is having the discipline to simply be patient and wait. Something to think about.